I figured I had nothing to lose in my interview with Governor Schwarzenegger for the Chief Justice because his first question is, how do you pronounce my name? And I say, how do you pronounce mine? And we laugh, and I was about to leave, and I heard running behind me, and it was the governor who didn't so much ask me as say, you are my chief.
Cantil-Sakauye.
And I said, yes, as if that was a question. So that's how it happened. I didn't think about what I wanted to be when I grew up. I went to Catholic school, and I really thought, oh, I could be a nun. This is the 60s, and there was no internet. You had to buy the Encyclopedia Britannica, and our family was so poor, we only bought up to G, so we didn't know what else was happening in the rest of the world after G. My parents always said you need to have an education, and that was a city college. That changed everything. Being at a community college with people who are seeking a second chance, a new life, people who are looking for a job promotion, people who are raising a family. That's such a different environment than high school, and I loved that. I joined the speech and debate team. I competed against men, and I would beat them. When they would tell me that they were going to law school, I'm thinking, well, I could probably go to law school. My first job out of law school, they handed me a file, and I said, where do I go? I had never seen a courtroom. I'd never been in a courtroom. I asked the judge, where do I stand? Where do I sit? This is my first trial. I was in the district attorney's office for about 4.5 years. I tried every kind of case, and I heard that the governor's office was looking for an attorney with a trial background. The experience turned out to be life-altering. Governor Deukmejian appointed me a judge when I was 30. There were very few women judges, maybe 2 or 3. So I just didn't think I would ascend to that, and I never really even aspired to ascend to it. I don't remember my first case, but I was doing night traffic. Nighttime traffic. People are angry in traffic, let alone at nighttime. That led me to more responsibility. And then pretty soon, another governor elevated me to the Superior Court. I had a court reporter assigned to me who had been with me for a long time, and we're a family, we are a team. One day I'm getting ready to go to court, and as soon as I'm in chambers, the police department next door keeps calling me saying, we have a woman in homicide, she won't talk to anyone but you. And so I rush over to the homicide unit. She was in her pajamas and she was crying and her eyes were swollen, and then a light bulb goes off in my head because it's my court reporter. She told her husband she was leaving him that morning, and they fought physically, and then he shot each child in front of her eyes, and then he shot himself. To this day, it's just, I relive all of it. It changes your life forever. And you don't come to terms with it, time passes. Soon thereafter, the district attorney's office sought to create a domestic violence court, the first of its kind in Sacramento, and I agreed to preside. And it turned out to be the busiest court in all of Sacramento in its history, just hundreds of cases. And when you preside over a court like that, you get to know families and children, and there's love there. And there's a relationship that needs fixing, and that's a court where you can do good for a family in the long run. I was in line on a weekend, and a woman came up to me and leaned into my ear, and she said, "He doesn't hit me anymore. Thank you." She just came in and whispered it to me, and she was gone. For all those cases and all those families, it was worth it to hear that. Doing that work in domestic violence, I think it just made me a better human and therefore a better judge. For me, to be named Chief Justice was an awesome responsibility. I just never thought I'd be seen in that way.
Hail to the Chief.
I started out my career as a minority woman deputy district attorney, and I was always the only woman and generally the only person of color in the courtroom. And I was new and different, and the male dominated the legal profession in the 80s. As Chief Justice of California, I really stressed access to justice. That is, everyone has to have access to it, or justice means nothing. Access means making sure people can get to courts, don't have to give up a day wage, don't have to pay it on transportation. So it meant remote access as well, but always it meant equal access. Doing the work of the court felt so correct, and the battle was righteous, and we created a new era in many ways, I think, going forward for the judicial branch. And so when it came time to think about leaving it, I wanted to bring data and facts to people so that people can make better policy. I have been 32 years on the back end of laws that didn't quite accomplish what they intended to accomplish, policies that were well-meaning but not quite fully informed. Now, as the president of PPIC, it's an opportunity to be on the front end to provide objective information to inform, amplify, clarify policy to make California's policy better for all Californians.